Hi, my name is Gary Gomes. It's Sunday, September 26th, a few days before my 69th birthday. Um, don't send presents, it's okay. And I'm here to talk with you about Vedic astrology and astrology in general and what's happening in the skies for you and for the world. Now, Um, just to give a little bit of background about myself, I was the former president of the Council of Vedic Astrology. I've been a Vedic astrologer for about 32 years or 31 years now, excuse me. And I am working on a book. It's slow going, but we've had some personal things come up over the past few months, which have slowed us down, but it will get done. This time for sure, as they say in Rocky and Bullwinkle. So basically, what will and I've written articles on Vedic astrology. I'll be speaking at three podcasts. One October 3rd out of Saptarishi's astrology. One October 10th out of Naranjan Babu's website, and one as part of the Arshavidya Gurukulam's Kumbh Mela celebration, which will start between November 6th to the 9th, and there'll be two other sessions of that. So that one will stretch. There'll be three sessions on that one. That one will stretch really until December. So, so I'll try to post those links on Facebook for those of you who are interested in showing up for those events. And I'll be talking about some really interesting new techniques I've developed, discovered. Maybe fallen over is more of an apt description. And we'll also be looking forward within a few months to starting a music show and additional posts once I have an actual studio set up in my home. And yeah, it looks exciting. Next year looks pretty exciting. The other thing is, I do take students. I do readings. So if you're interested in that, please contact me at 508-525-0001. Or else you can email me. You can text me at that number too, 508-525-0001. Or you can call me at 508-990-7898. Or you can just email me at garygomesg@gmail.com. That's probably the easiest email address to remember. Although I do have other emails like NEIVAS, which is the Northeast Institute of Vedic Astrology and Studies, at comcast.net. And the Northeast Institute of Vedic Astrology and Studies is coming along slowly but surely. And I plan on getting more astrologers involved. And also, I'm engaged in work with Kepler College, the American College of Vedic Astrology, and Daira Academy. And I also have allegiances in Turkey with my good friend and student Shania Devi Hausman. And I also have alliances with astrologers from pretty much everywhere around the world. So we'll be trying to do something really interesting and unique. It'll be slow going at first, but it'll be really, really good astrology. It'll also talk about a lot about remedial measures and meditation practices, and I will continue to be doing shows with my good friends, Dr. Simone and Lolita Donatella Rebeck, and I hope to have other guests on soon over the next few months. So please stay tuned. If you like what I'm doing on this particular broadcast, please. It's going out over Greater New Bedford cable TV, but it's also going out over over YouTube and a variety of other platforms. So please join the YouTube group. We're over 300 now. Again, it's slow progress, but these things don't happen overnight. And I'd like to know what more you'd like to see. I may even do a little bit of comedy. Um, although some people think I look funny enough anyway. But I may do a little bit of comedy or a little bit of music as we're going through, just to entertain you. And I also have a doctoral degree in education and a master's in business administration. So I'm not afraid to talk about a variety of topics, and you may see me branching out into other directions as well. Also a bachelor's in sociology, I forgot that. And I'm a priest of the Temple of Kriya Yoga in Chicago. So we're going to be talking about doing pujas and rituals on this channel as time goes on. Okay, so those will be entertaining and educational, I hope, for you. And I look forward to going on this path with you down the road. All right, so frequency we have coming, but let's look at the chart for this week, because that's what we're all here for. Now, I've had a few people contact me already today, just sort of worried in general about what's happening. So some people are disappointed, some people feel exhausted, some people feel a bit overwhelmed or a bit distraught, and there are several reasons for that. A lot of folks are experiencing some problems because of Rahu entering a nakshatra, and this was brought to my attention by a student of mine. But Rahu is entering a nakshatra called Kritika. Now, Kritika is ruled by the sun, or it actually entered the nakshatra, and Ketu's in Anuradha nakshatra. So, all right, so what does that mean? So Rahu causes problems with disappointments or with fulfillment of goals and dreams and aspirations. When Rahu goes into Kritika, and it rules the sun, it can make us kind of hopeless. It can make us extraordinarily critical of ourselves. It can make us extraordinarily tired, feeling like our efforts aren't going to really amount to very much. And this transit, and if you look carefully at this chart, the moon is in Taurus, where the moon is exalted. So that's where our mind is right now, too. So the combination of the sun, which is really the beacon of hope in the chart, the beacon of fame, and Kritika, and the sun rules that particular nakshatra. The sun is in Virgo, it looks like Hasta nakshatra. No, it's in Uttara Falguni, which is essentially our legacy nakshatra. My apologies. It's what we've inherited from people, basically. Wealth we've inherited from people. Moon is in Rohini. Rahu with moon makes us feel like we'll never be happy because the thing we want most is being kept away from us. Rohini is, there's a story about Rohini that it was considered to be the most delightful of nakshatras, and the moon essentially began waxing and waning because his other wives were jealous at him for spending so much time in Rohini nakshatra, which was an area of delight. So they asked their father, Tavashtar, which is where Mars is right now. It's in Hasta nakshatra. You see that right there in Hasta nakshatra. I'm sorry, Chitra. Tavashtar rules Chitra. My apologies. Mercury's in Chitra nakshatra. So essentially, the lunar mansions, which are considered to be pretty much all female or old wives of them, let's put it that way, got jealous of Rohini, and in particular Jyeshtha over here, which is where the rising sign is, got jealous and said, "Oh, we're the oldest. We have preference. Why should this this nakshatra get all of the moon's attention?" And so they asked their father to curse the moon, and so he did. He cursed. He made him start to waste away, basically. And they said, "Well, we didn't want you to destroy him. Like we want you to teach him a lesson, not destroy him." And he said, "Well, I can't reverse the curse, but I can modify it. I can make the moon, and for certain times of the month, become fuller and more glorious and more glowing. And at other times during the month, I'll make him fade away, so he'll seem less attractive." And one of the traits about the moon, and this is one of the traits which is usually attributed to Venus, but one of the traits about the moon is the moon likes to enjoy itself. So let's think about this logically, because a lot of people don't really think about this logically. The moon is connected with our mind and how we experience the world. Mercury is connected with the mind and how we experience it through our flesh, okay, through our direct contact, and how we interpret it. But the moon is really more about the senses, okay? So mother is the moon. The first being we experience life through is the moon, is mother, okay? So that's our first contact with the world. And basically, whenever the moon is afflicted in some way, we'll feel like mother's kind of abandoned us. Happiness has abandoned us. And it'll tend to make us tired and a little bit hopeless. If the sun's over here in this sign, it'll make us seem like our legacies are the only thing that are keeping us going, okay? And we're critical of the legacies we've been given. We'll be afraid of them a little bit. And Mars is in Hasta, so we'll only see violence coming towards us. If Mercury's in Chitra, it's basically we have to build a new foundation for interpreting the world if we have this kind of environment. Venus is in Vishaka Nakshatra, which is kind of a pessimistic nakshatra, especially about relationships. And Venus is about relationships, but it's not always romantic. It's about business relationships too. And Ketu is in our little friend Anuradha Nakshatra, which is about health and friends. So if Ketu's there, we feel like we're kind of isolated or kind of alone. Jupiter and Saturn are in, I have to look at this carefully, Jupiter's in Dhanishta Nakshatra, which is kind of a musical nakshatra, but it's also connected with drums and with and also with the attainment of wealth. So a lot of people will be feeling like they have limited access to wealth. Saturn is in Shravana Nakshatra, which makes us feel like basically if Saturn's case, the world doesn't want us to succeed. You know, Vishnu doesn't, that's Vishnu's nakshatra. Vishnu doesn't want us to succeed. And these are all transitory moments. Okay, so the first thing to keep in mind is Mercury will be going through, so the moon will be changing signs tomorrow. It'll be moving into Gemini. It'll be moving out of Rohini and into Mrigashira, which will make us a bit more brave and a bit more aggressive, give us a little bit more energy. But we really won't feel that until tomorrow. And the sun will be changing nakshatras within a few days. It'll be going into Hasta nakshatra, which will make us look more towards the future. Mars will leave and go into Chitra nakshatra within about a week and a half. That'll make us feel it. That'll put building projects up front. And Venus will enter the same sign with Ketu in Vishaka nakshatra to start. Then it'll line up in a couple of weeks with Ketu with in Anuradha. So we'll get help in strange ways from friends. It'll help us detach a little bit romantically, but it can cause rifts or misunderstandings with a relationship partner. So that's to be watched out for over the next couple of weeks. The major thing to keep in mind is, in terms of the chart, Saturn starts turning direct around October 10th, October 11th. Jupiter starts turning direct around October 15th. So you'll start to see a lot of projects, and Mercury turns retrograde within about 4 days. So basically, what we'll have is bigger projects which have been held back will move forward around the middle of the month. But these next 2 weeks will feel like everything's sort of like stuck in place, because Mercury will be heading backwards. It'll seem like it's trying to head towards fights or arguments again. And Venus will move it into K2 sign, so into the same sign with K2, so it'll seem like there'll be a lack of cooperation, or just strange communications will be going on, especially romantically. The good thing of it is it is good for people in television. It is good for people in media. So there'll be actually chances for success in media with this combination. And there'll be unexpected opportunities in relationship life. It would be really surprising, because you'll find people interested in working with you that you had no idea were interested in working with you. The other thing is, so this is actually a rare moment to link up with new people and to make new connections, especially in media, and especially in terms of psychic work if you're interested in that particular field. Yeah, but again, be careful driving, because Venus rules cars. Ketu rules is one of the planets connected with absent-mindedness. But I think overall we'll be safe. And Jupiter and Saturn will still be retrograde for about another 3 weeks. So we still have that to deal with. So everything will seem to sort of like freeze in place for a little while. Now, on the positive side, over the next couple of days, if you have anything really important to do communication-wise, do it. Because Mercury becomes extraordinarily strong when it's stationary direct. Every planet becomes extraordinarily strong when it's slowing down and moving out of retrograde and into direct motion. The same is true of Jupiter and Saturn. So if you have some kind of long-term project, like I'm writing my book, if you have some kind of a long-term project that you're working on, great time to start it up again, great time to renew and start disciplining yourself. The other thing to keep in mind when you're looking at these combinations is that everything is going to rely on the moon in large part. So the moon's transit through these signs. So the moon's in the same sign with Rahu right now. It won't always feel like this. Tomorrow you'll feel more communicative through Wednesday through roughly Wednesday through Thursday. Feel a little bit depressed or down. Thursday through Saturday you'll feel actually through Friday you'll feel like there's a lot of pressure on you. And for Saturday through Sunday, you'll feel like there are new business opportunities coming up for you. So it's not necessarily a bad time to do things when Mercury goes retrograde. So that myth should be shaken off. It's actually a time to get good deals on things, but it's usually considered not a good time to buy cars, electronics, things that are they can break down or rely on electricity or movement. But things like clothing, you can find good deals on clothing. You can find good deals on books. You can find good deals on a lot of things. With Jupiter and Saturn, it's actually easier to pick up new knowledge, especially practical knowledge, and also to increase your position of power and consolidate your position of power over the next couple of weeks. So we're looking at the world map. Basically, governments will be kind of stuck and kind of frustrated over the next week or so. That's pretty much what I'm seeing. They'll be more inclined towards fighting back or arguing than they will be towards getting things done. This will be roughly over the next 3 weeks. And Venus itself, there'll be a lot of acrimony or animosity, and also a lot of water accidents because of Venus with Ketu towards the end of this week. Last week, I actually started looking at certain lines across the world, and I said volcano, 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 and there were actually I actually heard it from a student. There was a volcano in the Canary Islands. There was a volcano in Mount Etna, and these were lines that I looked at last week that were problematic because of Mercury and Mars, because of Mercury being aspected by Saturn and also coming out of the company of Mars. So I think one of the things that happens when Saturn aspects Venus and Mercury is you tend to be content with your current situation. You tend not to want to rock the boat too much. You're willing to work hard for what you have, to keep what you have. As Venus moves towards Ketu, there's less concern with that. There's less concern with material possessions, although you may still be attracted towards them. And there's less concern with shutting up and doing and being nice to people if Mercury's retrograde and heading back towards Mars. So you'll see a level of vitriol go up in governments around the world over the next week and a half. There's also possibly some more possibilities for flooding and volcanoes because of Mercury moving back towards Mars and the Sun, and also because of Venus moving towards Ketu. The other thing is Jupiter and Saturn together, usually not a good combination. Jupiter helps Saturn. Saturn definitely doesn't help Jupiter. So what happens is usually you'll see people starting to, and we've already seen this happening, starting to be quote unquote more dictatorial. And when I say dictatorial, it isn't conventionally dictatorial. Like you'll definitely see dictatorships starting to exercise more power. So China has become more oppressive, let's say, over the past few months. It's essentially shut down huge parts of its economy. But you'll also see it in the United States. You'll also see a little bit of depression. And as a matter of fact, we saw a stock market plummet on Friday. And that was mainly due to these two planets down here, because this is the sign of trading being aspected by Saturn, but also because of Jupiter, the Lord of the ninth house, not having long-term faith. Although a lot of the data does suggest that the economy looks a lot better than people would initially have you believe. So let's look at the chart around the world. And spend a few minutes on this. I want to check my time. I'm at 24 minutes right now. Again, if you like what I'm doing, slam it, smash. Don't be nice to it, talk nice to it, but smash that like button, hit the share button, and share it with your friends, family, or wherever else you think can tolerate it. And because we can grow this. The okay, so we're looking over here, and Mars has some activity very close to Hawaii. So I know there is some activity going on out there right now. So that'll continue for a while, unfortunately. So some uh, earthquake activity and maybe even some danger of tsunamis in Hawaii. Mercury's running through Western Canada. It's not really that, and it's being intersected by Saturn, so there should be some problems with the economy out and also communications in Western Canada. Yeah, we're looking at Venus and Rahu. It looks like there's some panic in uh, really in Southern California, roughly from San Diego up through um, Nevada, up through, I have to look at this, Montana, I'm sorry, um, Oregon and Washington, and up through, it's not Montana, it's not Utah, it's Wyoming. Nope. Oh God, I used to be so good at geography, I can't remember the name of that state. Oh, that's awful. Um, but that L-shaped state in the upper northwest. Oh God, I'm gonna kill myself when it's over. I'll remember it when it's too late. So I think you're gonna see some kind of panic around that part of the country, and I think also so Jupiter's also some depression or some anxiety. Jupiter's debilitated, so there's Jupiter Venus line coming over here, so some danger of floods in Baja and even some danger of rain activity up through this part of the country. Uh, Idaho, I couldn't think of it, Idaho, and also we have a Venus line running through. So the Venus line is fairly benign. It's running through um, Arizona, through Wyoming, and and all the way up near the Dakotas. So this is benign, but again, there could be some danger of flooding in these parts of the country just because of Venus's conjunction with K2 towards the end of the week. Um, the other parts we're looking at is Rahu is passing through um, there's a Rahu line passing through Louisiana, so flooding again, and near Texas and through Ohio. And I don't know if it's a bit weird to be predicting earthquakes for this part of the country, but it looks a little bit like that. So this is Indiana, Michigan, and into Canada. And the moon is so some kind of earth disturbances. So I'm going to shy away from saying earthquakes per se, but Sun and Mars are like right over Washington, D.C., right over Virginia, right over North Carolina, and pretty much over the Bahamas and Cuba. So there'll be governmental distress in those parts of the country, also down in Chile, Ecuador, um, and Venezuela. There's a Mercury line running through Brazil, so that should be relatively benign, but there is still a Saturn line running through Brazil up towards the north and down towards Buenos Aires in Argentina and Paraguay and Uruguay. So this part of Argentina looks really um, It looks okay, but there'll be a lot of communication about trouble within the government there. Venus line is running over the eastern tip of Brazil. So again, that's relatively benign, but again, there's some potential for flooding in this part. And right over here, I'm not sure where that island is right down there, but over there, the Azores, Canary Islands, again, some potential, Iceland, some potential for volcanoes, even in the Azores, although it's more of a Mercury line than it's not quite as damaging. And there's a Jupiter line running through Scotland, so we'll be hearing a lot more about Scottish independence over the next few weeks. And let's see now, we have a Sun and a Mars line running through Northern Europe, and not actually Northern Europe, but more Scandinavia and Germany and down through Italy. So again, more possibly of volcanic activity. And let's see now, more towards Greece. And if we look here, there's a Mars line, so there could be even some civilian problems with the military in this part of the world, up to Italy, Switzerland, Germany. Germany's switching governments, so this could be what this is reflecting over here too. The other essential lines, Mars is going through Algeria, and it looks like down through close to Sudan and close to Rhodesia and or Zimbabwe, excuse me, and Angola and Mozambique. So there'll be some violence in those parts of the world. Let's see now. Venus is running through Western Turkey, so there's not a lot of danger. But again, some potential for flooding in this part of the world. There's some potential for problems with grains in this part of the world. Saturn is running through Iran, and there's a Venus line intersecting over here in Saudi Arabia, and also down to Madagascar. So what that means in plain English is there'll be problems with women in Saudi Arabia, maybe even some rebelliousness. The other lines I want to focus on is we have a Jupiter-Mars line, a Jupiter-Moon line, rather intersecting in near Afghanistan. So that'll definitely be a change in government. We've already been seeing that. And India is actually relatively free of lines this month. So that's actually, so they get a little bit of a break. China has Sun and Mars lines, and so does Vietnam, Cambodia, and down into Philippines, and I'm sorry, yep, the Philippines will be in the news a lot. So will China. And let's see where there are other problems. Saturn is running through Australia again, so Australia is not getting much of a break. And Saturn, Mars, and some flooding issues down towards this part of the world, down towards Tasmania. Jupiter is passing through Japan, so that's not really such a bad thing. Japan's economy will probably do better, but it'll stagnate a little bit. Also, we have Venus running through there, so some possibly of flooding, or not tsunamis, but just flooding. in this part of Japan, maybe heavy rains. And we have Rahu and Moon over the far eastern part of the Soviet Union, and close to New Zealand and um, close to Australia. So Australia and New Zealand are going to be a little bit anxious over the next few weeks. So in summary, the parts of the world I would pay particular attention to would be this part right here, this cluster in China, Vietnam, Cambodia, this area down here in Australia, and this area over here in Japan, and also Australia and New Zealand, although New Zealand doesn't look like it's going to be directly impacted. I'd watch out for the Hawaiian Islands. I'd watch out for the western part of Canada. I definitely watch out for Southern California, just because of the Saturn-Venus conjunction in Baja California, and also some potential for flooding or problems up through basically the western tip of North Dakota, and some anxiety or governmental scandals in Texas, Louisiana, up through Missouri, up through Indiana, and up through Michigan. And finally, Sun-Mars conjunction, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing, a lot of mistrust in the nation's capital. In terms of England and Ireland, I also watch out for earthquake activity over here, earthquake or volcanic activity, although that may be a bit of an exaggeration. And some over in this part of the world, over Norway down through Gabon in Africa, and even to the west coast down by Ghana. So that kind of sums up the world for this week. But again, it looks like actually kind of a violent period. I hope I'm wrong about that. Kind of a disruptive period because of, excuse me, let me get this back. Because of, that's where we go. A second. Nope, I don't want to do that. Cancel. Okay, so hi in the thumbnail video. Oh, how do I do this? All right. Yes, I am screen sharing. I really want to get back there. Share some. Oh, didn't want to do that. Sorry about that, folks. See if I can get this up. All right, so that's better. Sorry about that. Wow. Okay, so you're not seeing my lovely face anymore, but that's okay. Um, and 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 basically, um, so 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 yeah, so basically we have kind of another fun-filled week, but again, a lot of things will tend to stagnate or seem like they're not going very far. But I would watch carefully the lunar nodes because um, they're going to be kind of active over the next couple of months. We're building up to some eclipses in um, in late November, which I discussed last week, and early December. Um, and I think the major thing is Rahu and Kritika is not really an easy placement. It's Kritika is kind of a rough. It's a good lunar mansion. It's very good for critical thinking, but it's also a bit tough. It's also a bit aggressive. So um, I remember in the '60s, it was sort of a Kritika decade. So you may see a lot more protests over the next of months. The other thing is we want to look at the signs for those of you out there who care about those. And basically, for Aries, the Lord of the first house is in the sixth house, along with the sun. The sun's exalted in Aries. So the person's efforts will be very strong, very forceful, very wanting to take out the competition. Moon is with Rahu and Kritika. There'll be people will be very anxious about their money, very anxious about their home life, kind of dissatisfied with home life, to be honest with you, and talking pretty aggressively about it. A little bit sad or a little bit depressed too, to be truthful. Mercury is the Lord of the third, is in the seventh house. So strong desire for relationship life, but that'll be pushed back just a little bit over the next few weeks or so, as Mercury tends to go retrograde and goes back into the same sign with Mars. So it'll sort of like be a start over, and that really won't correct itself until around October 18th, 19th. The other, so that will sort of stymie relationship communications. The moon is Lord of the fourth house, so there'll be a lot of, again, like I said, a lot of anxiety over security. That'll be in general, but also for the sign. Fifth house Lord is the sun. Lord of the fifth is in the sixth house, so it'll seem very difficult to accumulate or acquire money. Seventh Lord has Venus and Mercury in it right now, which is really good for relationship or really good for potential relationship. Person starts to get attractive, but a lot of that will dissipate towards the end of the week, and they'll get attracted towards unusual or exotic partners, and they'll be more interested in communications and trying to advance their financial position by the end of the week. The other thing is the ninth house has Sri Lagna in it, which is very good for financial success. Jupiter and Saturn are in the 10th, which is very good for career success. And that'll continue really throughout the month of October through November. And the 12th house Lord is Jupiter. Jupiter's placed in the 10th house. So essentially, a lot of people with this configuration will be interested in traveling, making new friends. For Taurus, Moon Rahu, this sign will be feel a little bit tied in or frustrated with life. Relationship dialogue will not be easy. Relationship partner will seem to be critical. And the second house Lord is Mercury, is placed in the sixth house. So I give some arguments with family members. Third house Lord is the moon, changeable desires or ambitions, but the person will really want to be doing something different than what they're doing right now. They'll be a little bit frustrated. Sun rules the fourth house. He's in the fifth house. So that actually gives generally good luck to people during this transit. Venus and Mercury are in the 6th house, good for financial growth. Ketu's in the 7th house, not good for relationship. Sri Lagna's in the 8th, good for sudden infusion of funds from different sources. And Jupiter and Saturn are in the 9th house, generally a good combination for unexpected money. Gemini is Gemini's Lord is Mercury, placed in the 5th house, good for financial success, but again, there'll be a little bit of a tendency towards trying to take credit for things that really aren't yours over the next month or so. And also Venus and Mercury, Venus goes to the 6th house, so relationship life will tend to get a little tougher, or the communication will be strong but not honest. The other thing is Mars goes in the 4th house, so that gives Mars affliction. It'll give kind of a rough patch with relationship matters, which really won't improve until about mid-November, till around the end of October. And Ketu's in the 6th house, so there should be some concentration on health issues for this sign. 7th house Lord is Jupiter, so relationship life will again be stymied until around mid-November for this sign. Saturn's in the 8th house, and you'll see unexpected problems to family members like mother. And 9th house Lord, and also some family members like father. So the 9th house won't provide a lot of opportunities really until the end of November, but you'll start to see some motion, some ability to make changes starting around the 15th. And the 11th house Lord is Lord of the house of friends, so you'll have to be watching out about people lying about you or misrepresenting you. And again, expensive. It's an expensive time. A lot of focus on trying to improve one's appearance. The Cancer is the 4th sign, and we'll be receiving quite a bit of money, financial growth, and that's shown also from the Sun and Mars being in the 3rd house. So it'll actually give gains of property or some luck connected with property. Venus and Mercury are in the 4th house, so a lot of focus for this sign on education. Ketu is in the 5th house, so problems with children, as we've indicated before. Work will bring in money. Relationship life will improve over the next couple of months. You'll see some greater understanding and security in relationship life, which will shift a little bit around late November. And you'll start to see a lot of, as I said before, financial gains, career improvement for this sign. For Leo, Leo's Lord is in the 2nd house, along with Mars, so increasing gains connected with property. Mars is placed pretty strongly in this chart, so property matters will continue to improve over the next month or so. Venus and Mercury are in the same sign again, so this tends to make the sign a little bit more polite than it normally would be. And I think overall from the chart, let me see now. Okay, so I'm showing my video panel again. Yay, okay. I'll put it underneath Ganesha. And for this sign, good fortune to children. Some opposition, though, from figures in authority or figures that have control over the government. And some trouble from poor people as well, for this sign. And yeah, that'll continue throughout, really through November 17th. Moon is in the 10th house, so it should give some fame or some recognition, but there'll be anxiety over social position. For Virgo, Virgo has Mars and Sun in the first house, so this Sun will have a lot of energy this month. Surprisingly for Virgo, because Virgo is typically not connected with that. And there'll be a lot of financial success for Virgos. K2 will have, will make the sign courageous. The Moon Rahu conjunction will make the sign a little bit worried about financial gains, but it shouldn't be. But there'll also be unrealistic expectations financially for this sign. And if we look down here towards the 5th house, children aren't really connected with this sign so much, but for a lot of people, they'll be focused on children and how to help children and how to serve children if they don't have them, and they'll be focused on financial gains or financial improvements or speculative markets if they do not have children. 7th house Lord is Jupiter, so this is a pretty lucky placement. The 7th house Lord in the 5th house, so this could give relationship with somebody that the person's known before the person's luck finally changes. And this Moon Rahu combination in the 9th house gives good financial gains, although again, like I said, worry that it's not going to be enough. For Libra, Libra has Venus and Mercury sitting in the 1st house. It's a very good combination. And it's a Raj Yoga for this sign. Mars is in the 12th house, so they could be taken advantage of by relationship partners, and relationship partners will spend their money. K2's in the 2nd house. This sign will have a lot of arguments at home. Sri Lagna's strong desire for wealth in this sign. Jupiter, Saturn sit in the 4th house, so again, strong desire for education, and home life will go better, actually. The 7th house Lord is in the 12th house, so there can be loss of spouse, or a spouse will be away for a little while, or there'll be arguments with spouse. Moon is in the 8th house, a lot of interest in occult or metaphysical subjects for this sign. 9th house Lord has no planets in it, but the 9th house Lord sits in the 1st house, so that's generally lucky. 10th house Lord is Moon, so career will involve a lot of investigation. Overall, not a bad chart for Libra. For Scorpio, Scorpio has Sri Lagna in the 2nd house, will be better for money, but there will be some anxiety about relationship life. Jupiter and Saturn are in the 3rd house, so it gives increased educational status and increased intelligence to the sign. Moon and Rahu is a tendency towards, or put it this way, some tendency towards being tempted to have an affair. That'll go away pretty quickly for this sign. And overall, with Mars in the 11th house and with the Lord of the 10th house in the 11th house, career life looks very good. And Venus and Mercury in the 12th house tend to be good for holding on some money. For Sagittarius, Sri Lagna is in the 1st house, so again, it's a fortunate year for this particular sign. Jupiter and Saturn are in the 2nd house, so good for money or acquisition of money, but not spending it. Some fame is indicated for this sign because of the Lagna being in the 4th house, and Moon and Rahu are in the 6th house, so there'll be some anxiety over illness or health conditions. And Mars sits in the 10th house as Lord of the 12th and Lord of the 5th, along with the Lord of the 9th. So that's a good Raj Yoga for career success and career achievement. For Capricorn, Capricorn has Jupiter and Saturn in it. So strong ambition to learn, strong ambition to be left alone. Saturn is in the first house. A lot of push for this sign to take control of things, to command or lead other people. The moon is in the fifth house overall as a good placement. The moon with Rahu tends to give some worry over past life credit. That is whether or not the person will be rewarded for what they've done before, but they will be. And over here, the seventh house Lord does give some concern over marriage or relationship partners. That shows up for this sign as well. For Sun and Mars in the ninth house, it's generally a good indication that career success will come from unknown or hidden sources. And Venus and Mercury being in the 10th house, great career opportunities, great career success, great potential for gains. For Aquarius, Aquarius has Moon, Rahu in the fourth house. So again, some anxiety over home life, some obscurity in career, some worry that the person will be overlooked or not considered for promotion or advancement. And also with this chart, we have Sun and Mars in the eighth house, which is another Mars affliction combination. So this person should be careful about their relationship partner taking money or spending frivolously or even betraying them. Venus and Mercury in the ninth house, excellent position for these planets. Venus goes into the 10th house, so it'll expand career options for these folks, especially in media or in communications or sales of any kind. And Jupiter, the Lord of the 11th and the 2nd, is in the 12th. So again, there'll be more spending of money. Finally, Pisces has Moon, Rahu in the third house, which gives a lot of ambition, but some anxiety about whether or not they'll be able to achieve it. Sun and Mars are in the seventh house, so fighting or arguing with a relationship partner. Venus and Mercury are in the eighth house. That tends to give some physical enhancements to the person. The person will be considered very good looking. K2's in the ninth. It's not a bad placement, but relationship life will actually affect status or success in life. And Jupiter and Saturn are in the 11th as Lord of the first and the 12th and the 11th house. So there'll be increased financial gains, increased career success for this sign, but it'll really start to take off more strongly after November 17th. Okay, so that's it for this week. I hope everybody out there is doing well. I hope everybody's safe, secure. There's much more to come. Like I said, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. If you want to ask me questions, I do it sporadically, but I do get back to people. And again, I'm available for readings. Students, I'm a meditation teacher. I'm a Reiki master. I can teach you that as well. So there's a variety of things I can do for you. I also read tarot cards. So just if you're interested in meeting me or in learning more about the services, please contact me at 508-525-0001. We are going to move towards remedial measures pretty soon, and that'll help a lot of people out there. Okay, that's it for me this week. Thank you and namaste.